Marvel keeps bombarding us with supposedly leaked teasers, trailers, and insider info about their movies. Doomsday, we've already had our fill, so it's time to move on to Spider-Man 4. There was a bit of a joke there, because Marvel's trailer was first leaked in such terrible quality that hardly anyone believed it, so they had to leak it again in better quality. We'll break it down in the next couple of minutes, and at the same time talk about the final death of the Sony Cinematic Universe, which wants to hand over Venom, Marvel, Joe Keery, who might play Harry Osborn, and much more. Drop a Spidey like for us, and we'll get straight to the point without any unnecessary fluff. Just recently, several reputable sources reported that Sony has decided on the future of its cinematic universe. At this point, there was only one unannounced film left in it, a Spider-Woman movie by Olivia Wilde. And drumroll, it has been cancelled. Now, reportedly, instead of working on their own films, Sony plans to deepen its collaboration with Marvel, handing things over to Kevin Feige. The rights to all their existing characters will go to Marvel for a percentage. This is important because at one time, for example, Sony refused to let Kraven the Hunter be used in the Black Panther movie. Back then, there was the success of Venom and dreams of their own universe. Now that's officially over, and the Japanese company plans to make money through collaborations with Marvel. First of all, it's reported that Venom is the first in line for migration. And apparently, the initiative here seems to be on their side. It seems to come from Kevin Feige, who wants to make the symbiote the main character in the new trilogy with Tom Holland. Venom might also make an appearance in Secret Wars, where, according to the canon, Spidey wears the black suit. And besides that, finally, the barriers for the appearance of Black Cat, Chameleon, Morbius, and other legendary villains in the main universe have disappeared. Villains from Spidey's world whose reputation Sony has seriously damaged in recent years. The information about this new development has already been indirectly confirmed. Namely, Marvel added Venom to the animated series Spidey and His Amazing Friends, where previously Sony had flatly refused to grant permission for this. However, there is a nuance here. Under the agreement with Marvel, Sony is obligated to release Spider-Verse films in order not to lose the rights to the character permanently. But in this case, they will most likely resort to legal loopholes. Technically, Tom Holland's solo movies are Sony films, just like the animated Across the Spider-Verse. So legally, Sony can retain the rights even within a close partnership scheme with Marvel. They will only release something of their own as a precaution, and that's good news for fans of the animated film. About the Spider-Verse? All spin-offs like Spider-Punk will definitely be released just to secure the rights to the characters. And as for Spider-Man 4, you might find this funny, but Sadie Sink is once again at the center of fan theories. The thing is, leakers have claimed that during the Spider-Man shoot at the Pavilion, Sadie was wearing a yellow-green costume, which, of course, once again hints at the role of Jean Grey. Or, as some journalists suggest, Rachel Summers, the daughter of Jean Grey and Cyclops, who ended up in the Avengers universe because of an incursion, which will be examined in detail in Doomsday. In any case, it is reported that Sadie's character manipulates minds, erases memories, and possesses telekinesis. The full set of Jean Grey's powers, which it is claimed will be hunted for. The organization Damage Control. If Sadie really is from the multiverse, that's a very interesting move from Marvel, which will finally connect at least one film to Doomsday. And in the trailer, as we remember, Cyclops was definitely mourning someone close to him, and Jean Grey fits the role of the one who died. Even better, Cyclops' storyline will be further developed by his daughter with Jean, who disappeared somewhere because of the incursion. You do remember what the Russo brothers are building up to, right? They're gradually setting up Doomsday, Sue Storm's daughter, Thor's daughter, Doctor Doom's children. Cyclops' daughter would fit right in, so we wouldn't dismiss this insider theory just yet. It's funny that Sadie Sink herself said she learned about the rumors surrounding her role even before she was offered the part. According to Sadie, she read articles online saying that Marvel had contacted her 2 days before the first contact with Kevin Feige. So insiders these days really are powerful. Information often reaches them before it gets to the actors. Another Stranger Things actor who is being predicted to have a big future in Marvel is Joe Keery. Many sources report that Marvel has finally recovered. And instead of yet another unknown actor, they're looking at a truly popular guy. Moreover, it's claimed that Kevin Feige already has a role ready for Joe, one in which he sees him specifically. Which role exactly is still unclear, but on Reddit, people are actively suggesting Keery for the role of Harry Osborn in Tom Holland's trilogy. Keery and Holland are roughly the same age, and their synergy could make the trilogy great, but there are options beyond Spider-Man as well. After Secret Wars, Marvel will really need mutant stars, and Keery would also be a great fit for the role of the new Cyclops. He definitely knows how to handle kids. And then there's the truly exotic option, a new Tony Stark. In terms of charisma and vibe, Joe is somewhat reminiscent of a young Downey Jr., and considering that Kevin Feige has promised to recast Tony and Cap after Secret Wars, anything is possible. So leave your suggestions in the comments and we'll get back to Spider-Man. There was an important moment for the trilogy because reliable sources have stated that Marvel plans to keep Destin Cretton as the director for Spider-Man 5. And this is terrible news for two projects at once. First for Naruto, which Cretton was supposed to adapt. But whatever, maybe he'll manage to do it during a break between Spider-Man movies. The situation is much worse with Shang-Chi 2, which Cretton was also supposed to direct. Or at least was supposed to. Here, the director definitely can't be in two places at once. And it's funny that the rumors about him leaving Shang-Chi were indirectly confirmed by the lead actor, Simu Liu. The actor in an interview didn't deny Cretton's departure and said that if it happens, he'd be happy to see it. Director Melia, Isaac Chung, the Daniels duo, or Chloe Zhao. It's funny that Chloe has already worked with Marvel on Eternals, so she could make a comeback to the cinematic universe. Well, whatever, the main thing for us is that we won't have to wait 5 years for the next Spider-Man. Everything points to Marvel developing the project as the start of a trilogy, and the second part will come out in 2 or 3 years, just as a sequel should. It would be especially funny if Spider-Man 5 becomes the first film after Secret Wars, just like No Way Home was the first film after Endgame back in the day. And through Tom Holland, they'll once again show us the state of affairs in the new world. We shouldn't rule out this possibility, and it's safe to expect a new Spidey in the summer of 2028. Although, to be fair, it probably won't be the very first, since an X-Men movie is expected in the spring, but with Marvel, they could still postpone it 20 times. So Spidey is the people's candidate. The official release of the trailer for the 4th installment is expected after January 20th. And it's reported that it will be different from the supposedly leaked version. No wonder, considering it was leaked twice. The latest version allowed viewers to see an almost identical adaptation of the comic book cover, where Spidey fights Tarantula. And we think it's safe to say that the character on screen is indeed Anton Rodriguez, a former soldier who injected himself with yet another reincarnation of the super soldier serum and equipped his gloves and boots with retractable blades coated in drugs and poisons. A very serious opponent for Spidey, essentially his mirror image. And as far as the trailer's pixels allow us to see, it looks like Tarantula will be wearing a more or less canonical costume from the comics. The same can be said about Boomerang. He also appeared in the trailer, but in even lower quality and in the background. And again, in an absolutely canonical comic book costume with minimal changes. Here, Marvel is clearly taking a page from DC's book and moving away from pseudo-realism. You remember how throughout the whole multiverse saga, Marvel kept making realistic versions of superheroes? And sometimes even refused to call them by their comic book names. Now, just like in DC, they won't shy away from even the most comic book-like costumes, which is probably a good thing because pseudo-realism in superhero stories seems to have run its course. On that note, by the way, it has finally come to an end. Mahershala Ali's Blade. Several sources have reported that Marvel has given up and is no longer trying to develop the idea of a Blade solo film. Instead, Ali will be placed directly into a Midnight Suns crossover, and they'll see how it goes from there. Either it will float or it will sink. And if it floats, then working on a solo film will be easier. The news is bad on one hand, but on the other, at least we'll get to see a new version of Blade. And in an entirely new day, we might get to see one of the worst characters in comic book history. Because insiders report that Eman Esfandi will play in the film as the new guy M, Jason Dye. And just one look at the actor is enough to see that he looks the part. He looks exactly like Paul Robin from the comics. He first appeared on the pages in 2022 and immediately started a romance with Mary Jane. And not just any romance, he's actually a sweet, caring, and good guy who is nowhere near a villain. Ironically, that's exactly what drove the fans crazy. Many believe that Marvel created Paul solely to break up Spidey and Mary Jane, and that he serves no greater plot purpose. In the comic, by the way, the breakup with MJ led Spidey down a dark path. Similarly, in the movies, many don't realize that Zendaya's new boyfriend will be a blow to Peter, who at times will start to resemble the Punisher. And the success of this storyline will determine not only Spider-Man's future, but the future of all of Marvel. The Wrap, citing high-ranking film industry officials, reported that 2026 is the most important year in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. According to the publication, the future of everything depends on the success of Spider-Man and Doomsday. Marvel in cinema. It's not as if this is a secret to anyone, but it's reported that the bosses at Disney will closely evaluate the box office results of these projects and, as stated, will take action regarding Phase 7 and the next saga. It's unlikely that anything will be cancelled. The X-Men movie is already in production and Black Panther 3 is already being filmed. Most likely the question is whether Kevin Feige will be given money for new franchises and series. A failure of Spider-Man 4 and the new Avengers could seriously shake the budgets of future projects. And Marvel could roll back 15 years, releasing only 1 or 2 proven films a year. Do you believe this outcome is possible? Or will the Avengers still be able to make $2 billion at the box office? Place your bets in the comments, and that's all from us for now. See you next time, friends!